Alright, you guys, we're going to be doing a little video here. We're going to be hunting tonight, so I just thought I'd throw up this video and do a little rundown of the gear that we have and just getting started in night hunting. I know for a lot of guys, including myself when I started a couple years ago, it was really tough to figure out how to call coyotes and how to be consistent and how to consistently kill them on a nightly basis. And we're starting to get there, closer and closer to where we're actually starting to kill them consistently, you know, 5 or 6 a night, just get more ground and then keep racking up the numbers. But we killed these 5 right here that are in the truck. We killed them the night before last, and we're gonna be going out again tonight. Good conditions for it, so hopefully we can get on some. And to just go over some of the equipment that we have to be able to, that we kind of gathered up through our experiences, and just give you guys some recommendations if you're new to the night hunting or just new to coyote hunting in general. A lot of this time of year, February, and even after deer season, a lot of guys start picking up coyote hunting. Your deer hunters start to get into coyote hunting more and more, and it gets really popular this time of year and then kind of dies off. We coyote hunt year round, but obviously this time of year is probably when we do it the most. But if you're just getting into it and you're just starting out and if you want to get serious about it, this video is kind of for you. If you're just a deer hunter and you just want to kill some coyotes on your property, probably not going to be for you, because I'm going to recommend some gear that's pretty expensive and you might not want to invest money into. But you can definitely do what we do with some lower end stuff, lower budget. But if you want to be serious, I would recommend you got to get the good stuff. That's just how it is. Especially starting out, you can start out with a cheap tripod, you know, your deer rifle, and a cheap Fox Pro call from Cabela's. You don't need much to get started. I think first, for most people, you got to determine in your area what you are going to be able to do with coyotes. Are you going to be able to daytime call them? Are you going to be able to nighttime call them? Here in our part of Wisconsin, you would have a really, really hard time on daytime calling coyotes. They're here, and you could do it if you found fields that were set up for daytime calling. You would need a perfect wind, you need a perfect setup, and you would need a field that is undisturbed, away from people during the daytime, which here is pretty much impossible. I mean, there's so many people down here where I'm in Wisconsin. I'm close to the big cities, and there's a lot of human activity. And if you don't night hunt around here, you're probably going to kill 10 to 15 coyotes a year, and at least for what we want to do, that's just not enjoyable. So in your area, you got to figure out what you can do. If you can daytime call, well, then you can get a much cheaper setup and start daytime calling long before you have to spend money into a nighttime rig. And if the daytime calling is good around you, I would not spend the money in a nighttime rig, because preferably I prefer to daytime hunt because it's more enjoyable and you don't have to stay up so late. But in my area, and probably a lot of other people's area, you're going to run into the problem of that there's just not enough ground or not enough setups for you to make daytime stands. And that's pretty much what I got. So we got nighttime rigs. So once you determine if you need a nighttime rig or if you're going to be able to daytime call, if you're going to be able to daytime call, I mean, you just need to get experience. You know, there's a lot of videos on daytime calling setups. And like I said, I'm mostly a night hunter. So going over the night rig, and you don't need exactly what I got. This is just what I prefer to get set up with and just how I run it. I got a 2-vets tripod, a 6.5 Creedmoor shooting a 95 grain VMAX, and I got an IRA TH50C on top. I got a JK Armament suppressor that I did right about the time I got into coyote hunting. I was like, got to get a suppressor. Like I said, I hunt around a bunch of people, which means a bunch of houses, a bunch of just residential areas. Every time you crack off a round around here, if you're unsuppressed, sometimes even suppressed, but if you're unsuppressed, you're going to get the cops called on you probably 50% of the time, which if you're night hunting and you're trying to go around and hit, you know, 15 or 20 properties in a night, getting the cops called on you isn't going to work, because you're sitting there for, you know, half an hour trying to explain what you're doing, and then it's just a whole headache that you want to avoid. So suppressors definitely help with that. They don't completely eliminate it, but suppressors, I got a magnetic sign that I got on the truck now, and that definitely helps to eliminate run-ins with, you know, the cops and stuff like that. Not that you're doing anything wrong, but when you're out there night hunting, if a cop rolls up and he turns on his lights or something, he pretty much blows the set. So trying to avoid that as much as possible. And like I said, this is about a $14,000 rig. You don't have to start here. You can start with your deer rifle. Start with any gun, pretty much. Pretty much any rifle is going to kill a coyote. It just, when you start killing more and more, you want to put them down right away, and you just want to fine tune your gear, and that's kind of what I've done. And I really like the 6.5. I'll probably switch over to something a little smaller, like a 22 Creedmoor, which is what my brother runs, or a 6mm arc, something in that range. And I'll probably switch over to a semi-auto. I run a bolt action right now, but I'll probably switch to a semi just because, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be a little easier, but a bolt will get it done. We've had a couple stands in the last few months that I really could have used a semi-auto on. Had called multiple dogs and just would have preferred a semi-automatic, so that's kind of why I'm going to make the switch. But enough of the gun. I run both calls. I'd say the two top call makers that are out there, your two top competitors, are going to be your Lucky Duck and Fox Pro. And then I have all the sounds loaded up on there, as many as I can get at the moment. I got the MFK sounds loaded up on the Fox Pro, Rick Paulette's sounds loaded up on the Lucky Duck. I like them both, honestly. They're both great calls. It's just whoever you go with. The only thing I don't like about the Roughneck, which is what I have here, and I don't know, like the newer calls might do better, but the Roughneck, the remote kind of sucks on it. The range on the remote, I can get over like 40 yards and it'll start to disconnect. Which with like the Fox Pro, and this is the X24, I can run it easily out to 100 yards, if not farther if I wanted to. But normally I'm running the call, 50 to 75 yards away, and sometimes the Roughneck will give me trouble there. So if I'm hunting a big field or something that's like super big, I'll get the call. I want to get the call like out away from me, or we got a moonlit night, I want to get the call away. I'll run the Fox Pro just because, for that reason, that it might disconnect on me, the Roughneck. And then usually I'll switch over to the Roughneck when I start calling a place, like a lot with the Fox Pro, and I need to switch up sounds, or I just want to switch up to it, which I do that a lot. And I did that just the other night with these 5 coyotes. All of them came in to sounds that were coming off the Roughneck, and I hadn't run it in probably a month, and I was really happy that I switched back to it because there are some sounds in there that I really enjoy. For new time callers, new guys getting into it, I will say, I see a lot of guys on Facebook getting on Facebook, and they're like, what calls are running this time of year? What calls should I be playing? And honestly, if you're a new caller, a lot of these callers nowadays have like full length hunts built into them, or you can buy them online. And I know Rick Paulette, like on the Roughneck here, does full length hunts, and you can basically sit there and you run the volume, but the sounds just come one right after the other. Evenly spaced, like how if Rick was sitting there calling with you. If you're a new caller, because I was there, you're standing there and you don't know what to play next, or whatever, you're like confused. You don't know the time of the year, what you should be playing. Well, if you go on Rick's website, Verminator, I think it's Verminator PC or something like that. If you go on his website, he's got all these sounds laid out, like full length hunts, and you can go on there and click on them, and he'll tell you like what time of year you should be running them. What he's going through, like his thought process on the stand and on the sound. So if you don't know what to play and you're kind of like I said, you're new to it and you're trying to figure it out, honestly, you can get those full length hunts and you can sit out there, press one button, and then just run the volume, and you can listen to somebody who's got experience, pretty much like if Rick was standing there on stand with you, like he's sitting there running the call for you pretty much. And when I started, that was huge for me, because you could sit there, listen to how long he's spacing out whatever it is, a calling sequence or distress, whatever it might be, how long he's waiting between howls to fights. And that's big. That's really big when you can stand there and you can kind of get that experience. You can hear it in the woods when you're actually out there hunting. And so if you're a new caller, you don't know what to play, don't get on Facebook, because guys are just going to bash you on. Most guys don't want to give out their sound sequences, that time of year, whatever they're doing, they don't want to give out what they're using. I don't know why guys get like that. Who cares? More coyotes dead is just a good thing. So, but they do get like that. So rather than getting on Facebook and getting bashed by a couple of guys, get some of these sounds, full length hunts loaded up. I'm sure Fox Pro has some. I haven't looked, but somebody's got to make some for Fox Pro, or MFK might do some. But the only ones I found are for the Roughneck so far, but I haven't looked for the Fox Pro because I don't use them anymore. I run just what I feel like running now. But when I started, the full-length hunts were definitely big, because you could sit there and, have somebody else basically standing there with you running the call. So that was pretty cool. So I would recommend that if you're a new caller. So I'm gonna just touch on a couple things. The tripod, you know, like I said, you can start with just about any rifle, get into it. You don't have to have a suppressor. You don't have to get into that side of it. If you're gonna go thermal or a night vision scope, I would recommend saving the money, you know, maybe on the gun and maybe on the, you know, suppressor, and get a good tripod, because thermal is, you're shooting, it's like a camera, you're shooting a digital picture. So any little movement, any little, you know, adjustment that you make is gonna have a huge effect on your shot. And if you're not on a steady tripod, you know, we started on what pretty much everybody starts on, which is a bog death grip, and then I moved to a slick, and eventually ended up on a 2-vets QDT, and that's been huge because they're super nice. I mean, obviously it's got big carbon fiber legs, it's light, but when you set that thing down in the field, it's rock steady, and they do cost quite a bit. I mean, for a tripod, that's usually where a lot of guys try and cheap out, but I would say cheap out on the gun first before you go to and cheap out on the tripod. This is about $1,000 tripod, maybe not that, maybe about right around 800 bucks, but well worth it. And if I was to do it, if I was just starting out from the beginning, I would build it from the tripod up, honestly. I would start with a tripod, get a gun that I could mount to it, and go from there. You know, I would even run night vision before I had to go back to like a cheap tripod. That is honestly how big of a difference a good tripod can make. So running the tripod, the other thing I wanted to touch on is the scanner. You don't have to get a scanner. You can definitely sit here on the gun and go back and forth. It's not that big of a deal. If you're trying to save money, if you're trying to do it on a budget, it's not that big a deal, but I assure you that if you hunt enough, like we do, we hunt 3 or 4 times a week, you know, 5 or 6 hours a night, and you know, we after a while of doing that, your neck is gonna get sore. You're just gonna wanna go to a scanner eventually, whether that is whatever. It could be a $1,500 scanner. We run Pulsar Accolades, and these are right around $5,000, but they are well worth it. You don't have to go this high end. You can definitely go, you know, on the lower end, 1,500 to 3,000, somewhere's right in there. This is a 640. You go a 384 scanner, something a little cheaper. You don't have to go here, but this does have a rangefinder, and you can find the cheaper ones with rangefinders. This is just what we had available to us. It's what we decided to buy, and it's what we wanted to get, so we did. As far as the gear goes, and as far as our methods of calling, it's February. Most of the time we're gonna run howls for the first couple minutes and do maybe some light distress and then some fights. Nothing too complicated. It's not that hard to call coyotes. You just got to kind of learn and get in a rhythm of doing it. And then once you build up the confidence to do it, I mean, I can honestly say 3 years ago, I didn't know how to call coyotes. We were just out there just set after set after set of not calling coyotes and just getting frustrated. And now we're here to where we killed 200 last year, and I'm pretty sure we'll kill 300 coyotes this coming year. So, you know, that's a big leap in success that we made in just a couple of years, and it's pretty much just going out there and doing it. That's it. You just got to go set after set after set until you build up the confidence. You know, you kill one, then you go out and you do it again. Maybe the next night or a couple nights later, you do it again. Then, you know, the next week you have a couple blank stands, you go out again, you kill a double, and the confidence just keeps building. You sit on stand longer because you think a coyote might come. If coyotes answer you, you're like, man, we need to move closer. You just kind of build up that confidence. And, you know, if you are really struggling, find a coyote hunter in your area, invite him to go along with you, and just say, hey, I got these 15 or 20 properties. Go talk to a coyote hunter in your area and be like, hey, if you take me out, I got these properties that we can hunt. You know, don't go to them and be like, hey, can you take me hunting on your property with your thermals, with your rifles, and just expect them to want to take you just because you want to go. You know, give them something for them to take you. You know, I know if for me, and this is for me, this might not be, you know, for everybody, but if somebody came to me and was like, hey, I got 15 properties that we can hit in a night if you'll take me out and kind of show me what you guys do. And I'm not saying like what I do is everything is good, perfect, but like what I do works for me, and I constantly learning. But if you were new to it and you came to me and you were like, I got these 15, 20 properties, we can go out and hit tonight. You can kind of show me the ropes. You know, I know for myself, I would be totally more than willing. I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. You know, I got a couple rifle setups. You can take my setup and I'll scan, and my brother will back you up. Like, I have no problem with that at all. It works out good for both of us. We get to hunt some new places, or your coyote hunter in your area gets to hunt some new places, and you get to go out there and learn from somebody who is experienced and is already killing coyotes. So you can't really go wrong there if you can find somebody in your area. But yeah, that's pretty much the setup. That's pretty much the rundown. That's the stuff. You don't need all this. I mean, like I said, if you can daytime call in the area, start right there. Just start right there. Just start daytime calling. Don't go this deep into the night stuff. But if you can't daytime call, I mean, some places it is impossible to daytime call just because you got too much going on and the coyotes aren't up and moving during the day. And that's how it is here. You can probably hit them the last 15, 10 minutes of daylight and maybe get lucky, but to consistently do it, you're just not going to do it in my area. So first adjust, and first you got to figure out what you can do in your area and then get set up for it. But there's nothing too complicated about it. There's nothing too hard. Once you start to get in a rhythm of calling them and killing them, you just build confidence from there. So that's kind of the equipment, kind of our rundown on it. And if you're struggling, trying to learn how, hopefully some of those tips will help you out. So we're going to go calling tonight. I got a couple farms up north of here, and going to make a little bit of a drive to get to them, but we'll see what we can kill. Thanks for watching, you guys. We're going to go kill some coyotes tonight. Hopefully it's a good night for it. Moon should be down at least for a while, and it's going to be clear skies and no wind. So perfect weather too. It's like 50, 40, 45, 50 degrees out here. So I'm going to get the truck loaded up and see if we can go kill some more. We should be a good night for it. So we're going to make the drive and see if we can get on some. Y'all go kill them.